Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, episode 129. NFL draft is next Thursday, I believe. Sitting here recording on Monday the 14th. We got a 2025 first round mock draft we're gonna run through, and then we're gonna talk NBA play-in playoffs. That kicks off tomorrow night with two games, 7-8 seeds will tip off tomorrow night. So let's jump into this mock draft, man. I went ahead. I didn't want the honors for the Cleveland Browns pick at two, so I will go ahead and take the odd. Tennessee Titans on the clock. I think they could turn their pick in pretty quickly if they're a capable franchise. They're gonna go with quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami, number one overall.
I also think that will be the pick for the Tennessee Titans. And just to preface this, neither one of us have sat down and watched hours of film on all of these players. It's just more of a kind of what we think each team will do, not what we personally will do. I can say that on my behalf. I'm sure you as well. But, just going off
Well,
like
I
general
mean,
buzz from what
hold
we've
on.
seen.
You continue last year, I
Yeah.
picked the Falcons to take a D line, and they went ahead with Michael Penix. So clearly, their hours of film paid off because they no longer have Kirk Cousins, but they're trying to get rid of Kirk Cousins. So
And
yeah,
also, you can't really blame me because the Falcons have needed defensive line help since Vic Beasley had that 1 year with 10 sacks in like what, 20 fucking 13. So yeah,
it was like
basically
2016, 15. Yeah.
it felt like it was even longer than that. But yeah, around then, basically our entire like early adult lives, they've just needed defensive line help. So I can't really blame you for trying to make that pick for them. But like you mentioned, Michael Penix seems like he'll work out. Um, Thank you for giving me the honors of having the pick for your, 1A team, the Cleveland Browns, picking here at number two. Um, we won't really get into too much on, how you feel and what you think. I think we've discussed that enough throughout this season and obviously up to this point. A lot of buzz earlier on with quarterback being the position that's going to be taken here at number two. Obviously, it still is a need. You bring back Joe Flacco. I'm not going to say that's, solving the problem. I'd say that's like putting a band-aid on an open wound where you need stitches. So, I mean, it helps a bit, but was it really accomplishing? Unfortunately, I just don't think the talent at this quarterback class will be too, high end. Let's just say it's nowhere near what it was last year, where we saw what was it, six quarterbacks go in the top 12 or top what 15. Bo Nix went at what pick?
Yeah,
Like I think
I think it
15 or
was
something like
like
that.
13 or yeah.
Or Bo Nix I think was 12. And then JJ McCarthy ended up going. Regardless, like
Before.
six quarterbacks went in the top half of the draft, five or six. That's not happening this draft. Um, I'm gonna go with Travis Hunter. Just give me the best player for the Browns. I don't think he'll be playing a lot of corner. You know how you feel about that Cleveland Browns secondary. They got some guys back there. I think you can throw, Travis Hunter in. Injuries are an inevitable part of football. Dime packages maybe get him out there, but ultimately, I've always said this. I've always thought he was a better receiver than DB. Also, if you want to make the money, play receiver. They get paid a lot more, but his ball skills, the play he's able to make, his route running, he's super smooth, super high level athlete. I think when you're picking this high in the draft, if you're not able to get a franchise changing quarterback, no matter what positions you have, you just want to get the best players in. And Travis Hunter is arguably the best player in this draft. So yeah, I'm taking Travis Hunter there at number two. 5'6" products.
Yes, 561 product, man. Shout out Palm Beach County. The Giants on the clock at three. This one, really not sure what I'd like to do if I'm the New York Giants. A lot of buzz in the quarterback room about Shador's draft stock, plummeting, and GM saying they would take him outside the first round. Now, if you're the New York Giants, You do need a quarterback of the future. Band-aids and all, man. The Giants, they need help at the quarterback position, and they've been lost since Eli Manning and Odell Beckham were linking up for their amazing Odell run. But after that, it's been all downhill. Daniel Jones, showed some flashes, got to the playoffs, gave him that big contract. We saw what happened with Danny Dimes. The Giants now, the best player available is sort of a position that you're probably the best in the league at in terms of defensive line. You drafted Kayvon Thibodeau a few years ago. Don't think he's as good as a prospect as Abdul Carter is on the board right now. Um, and I think they just need a lot of help everywhere. They went out and got Malik Neighbors last year, would have been nice. Him and Travis Hunter paired up on the outside. I was This is a tough one if you're the Giants.
It
Um,
is tough. I know where I would go, but
I mean, you
it's your pick.
could go tackle here. Um, I mean, well, I really like Abdul Carter, but might be a little bit of a reach. You don't see any guys you like here. You don't want to reach for a quarterback. I was thinking of Shador, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Will Campbell from LSU, get a little tackle
Will
help.
Campbell, wow.
Um,
Okay.
get him on the board with some help. So you got
Take an
Jameis, you got
offensive guard with
Russ.
the third number overall pick. I mean, yeah, I guess
He's a
makes
tackle,
sense.
but
Hmm. Short arms, man. Short
all
arms.
right. He's swinging the guard.
Listen, that's up to whatever team drafts him, man. You got Will Campbell going at three. Okay. I'm the
Who is your
Patriots,
pick?
and
Who's it?
I'm Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I
Roger
think this in the
Goodell don't even get to leave the stage after he announced Patriots on the clock. Give me Abdul Carter. Obviously, with what they've done here over the offseason, they've addressed a lot of defensive needs, brought in a lot of guys. So you'd be looking to make a pick here to help Drake May help that offense. But when you have someone like Abdul Carter who's on the draft board right now, you look at that front seven, you look at you know, when the New England Patriots were at their best, it was always defensive first, and then you had Tom Brady and those guys, running the offense. But Bill Belichick, Vrabel coming from that coaching tree, having played for the Patriots, being a outside linebacker rusher himself, he knows how important it is to have an elite pass rusher build through the trenches. We kind of saw him do that down in Tennessee as well. They always had a really solid defensive line. They won a lot of games off of their defense, and you have a talent like Abdul Carter fall to number 4 here. I don't think someone that you could argue is the best player in the draft. We saw what he did throughout the playoffs, and that's kind of also what I like now that we have the college football playoffs. We can kind of see how these guys perform in the big moments. Although Abdul Carter was banged up during, that playoff run, I believe he had an injured shoulder or whatever. He still showed out. He still produced. He was still, arguably the best player. Not even well when they played Boise State, arguably, but a lot of times he was the best player on the field. You saw him jump. He just looked different. Elite athlete. Some injury concerns. I think he had a foot fracture, his shoulder, or whatever. I believe all those, a lot of reports saying they're coming back clean, so it shouldn't be so many issues there. Yeah, give me Abdul Carter. If you're the Patriots and you possibly get, the number one player in this draft class at pick number 4, that's a plus.
Yeah, I really like that there. I do think he is um the best pass rusher. Obviously in the draft and probably the best prospect coming out. Immediate impact. You mentioned injuries. Should be good to go. I like that pick there. Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. I think they go Mason Graham here. They need some defense. The Jags really struggling. They're kind of resetting this entire team in the offseason, got rid of some weapons. For T-Law, you get Brian Thomas in last year, amazing rookie season. If not for Neighbors, he's the best rookie wide receiver in the draft class, and I do honestly think he's on par with Neighbors when it comes to talent and skill set. Just waiting for that same amount of targets, just force feed Brian Thomas the ball. They did it last year a few times. That offense got clicking. He's explosive. need help in that defensive line. They need help all over the defense, realistically. I think it starts in the trenches with D-line.
Yeah, man. I mean, as an Eagles fan, watching Howie all those years build this football team, I'm not gonna ever argue with, offensive line, defensive line, building up the trenches. You still have Josh Hines Allen over there, a solid pass rusher. Then you have Walker, former number one overall pick. Maybe not the hype was not Aiden Hutchinson level, but still a really, really solid pass rusher. Double digit sacks. I believe he was in the top of the league in pressures as well. So also, that's a really important number that you want to look at, not just sacks, because we know some sacks can be kind of schemed up, or you just happen to get them. Pressures is the one where, even if you're not tackling the quarterback and getting sacks, you're still affecting the play. So high number of pressures. You have Mason Graham in there on the interior, a guy that he can play all three downs. We saw what he was able to do in Michigan. Kind of that famous game against Ohio State where they pretty much beat Ohio State with that front seven, that defensive line. Mason Graham was a big part. So yeah, I like that pick there for Jacksonville. Raiders on the clock. I mean, is there really much to say here, man? We know what Pete Carroll's about. We know how they want to play football up there. Geno Smith, you want to add a little explosive weapons to the offense. I mean, pick six overall, give me Ashton Genty. I'm another really, really one of the top end prospects in this draft. We saw what he's able to do, his contact balance. He's able to break tackles, can get involved catching the ball as well out of the backfield. It just adds an explosive element to this offense to whereas, you draft Brock Bowers last year. He looks to be a stud at the tight end position. Now, hopefully, with Geno Smith coming over, you bring in Aston Genty, maybe draft a couple of offensive linemen to help shore up that, front group. And then I think you can have the potential to have one of the better offenses in the league if everyone plays up to their true potential.
Yeah, I really like that pick there. Raiders. They also, got some holes to fill. New coaching staff. Bringing over Geno Smith from Seattle. We'll see with the Raiders this season and off season. It's gonna lead the New York Jets on the clock. And if you're the Jets, man, after last season's turmoil, you had one of the best defenses 2 years ago. You thought, Aaron Rodgers, capable quarterback, you'd be in a better position. You were in the same position with the Zach Wilson. Who else was quarterbacking? I mean, they had a revolving door of quarterbacks that year and still managed to end up pretty much the same position they were 2 years ago. So, um, I'm the Jets, man. They bring in Justin Fields. Is he going to be your true guy at this point? I don't know, but I don't think they're going to take a quarterback here. Um, and I think, man, you could go right tackle here, but I think they go out last year. I had them taking Brock Bowers with their draft pick at tight end. I think they go out, get a tight end, a safety blanket over the middle, and they draft Tyler Warren here. You got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall. It's sort of a running back by committee, um, per se so far. News out of New York, so Braylon Allen really came on last year as the goal line back. Breece Hall, he can do it all. He can catch. He can run in open space. But I think they had another weapon outside of Garrett Wilson. There's no real other receiving weapon for Justin Fields in this offense. So I'm gonna go ahead, take Warren here for the New York Jets.
I do not hate that pick at all, and I think that's a very realistic pick that can happen. You pretty much hit everything. You covered it all right there. I think you bring in a quarterback like Justin Fields. You mentioned you want to just get him as much help as possible, and we saw what Tyler Warren was able to do when he was schemed up in that Penn State offense. Literally did everything for them. Snapped the ball, threw the ball, ran the ball, caught the ball. He can do it all. So I like that there, getting him some help. That makes this pick a little more interesting. For the Carolina Panthers, obviously you like what you saw from Bryce Young the second half of the season. Really, hopeful that he can continue to progress and continue to take steps forward for that offense. Defensively, that's probably where you want to look here. Front seven, you need pass rushers. You need someone that's going to get after the quarterback, maybe a linebacker. But what's very tempting here for me, and he's still on the board, which I might end up taking, tackle Armand Mimbu. He's still there. I mean, when you have a quarterback like Bryce Young, you can never protect him too much. It's kind of one of those things where is he a right tackle? Is he a left tackle? I know they just took that left tackle, Aquanu out of NC State a couple years ago. Do you plug Mimbu over at right? Do you try him at left and you switch him? I think it's one of those things where, you just take the best talent and just wherever he works, you put him at either one of those tackles and just sure up, make sure Bryce Young continues to stay upright. It's a very, very deep defensive line class this year in terms of edge rusher and interior defensive line, which I think the Panthers need help at both. So maybe you could find somebody in the top of the second round. This is tough. I'm gonna go Mimbu, man. You have Bryce Young. You like what you saw from him. It's the NFL. Quarterback's the most important position, and I think no matter what, you got to protect the assets. So give me your mom Mimbu, man, here for the Carolina Panthers. You can never have too many good offensive linemen.
Yeah, I really love that pick. The Panthers, they sort of need help everywhere. Never have too much protection for your quarterback. We saw with the Panthers, they really can't protect the quarterback too well. So adding some tackle help for Bryce Young, I honestly like that. And I think that's the move. If Membu falls to the Panthers, that they gotta take him at that spot. Um, Pick number 9, New Orleans Saints. Think this is the time, man. Think it's the time.
Jackson
Prime
Dart.
time. No, not Jackson Dart. I did see a couple mocks, so taking Jackson Dart over Shador, but um, I don't know if anybody watched Jackson Dart against Florida. You said you didn't turn on the tape, man. Neither did I, but he
I think
single-handedly
everyone
lost them
knows
that
about that
football
Florida
game.
game.
Yeah. Um, you know, just stuff like that. I don't know if I'm gonna take you top 10 if I see something like that. So for that case, Shador Sanders is a New Orleans Saint. They get a quarterback. Um, your boy over there now, the head coach.
Kellen Moore.
Yep, Kellen Moore. After his season with the Eagles Super Bowl run, Kellen Moore gets his quarterback for the future.
Yeah, and then also, I don't know if you saw about the reports about Derek Carr. Apparently, he might need off-season surgery now. So there's questions if he's even gonna be ready for camp. So
I think that's a
just
win
that
for the
much
Saints.
makes quarterback that much more of a pressing need. Now, in reality, I don't think Shador Sanders goes this high or Jackson Dart. I think they both kind of slip, and then I think well, I personally think will happen, and I want to see how you feel. It would be kind of lit. I think Shador Sanders falls a bit, and then I think the Browns trade back up and draft him and pair him with Travis Hunter. How would you feel about that?
So I go change I'll change it on my dog. If that happens, I'll rock what you want, the Baker Mayfield Jarvis Landry jersey. I'll bring him back, bro. I'll wear both. I don't know. I'll
I
give you
think I,
one.
I think it's a realistic possibility. I mean, we'll have to see what happens on draft day, but a lot of the buzz, a lot of reports showing that seeing a lot of stuff coming out now. Reports saying a lot of teams don't think Shador it's a first round prospect. People saying they're going to pass on him. He'll slide. We all know quarterbacks that have even the slightest chance of going in the first round, they go in the first round. So if teams are saying he's not a first round prospect or he's going to slide, that probably just means he'll go towards the middle or the end of the draft. And I think a team like Cleveland, who they have the first pick in the second round, they can use that asset, trade back up if he does fall, not give up too much, and still, if he does hit, you got that 5th year option. That's really important on those first rounders, especially at the position like quarterback when you do have to end up paying him. You pair him with Travis Hunter, you get that familiarity, you get that chemistry, and we know the kind of success Stefanski has had in his career with quarterbacks who are more accurate, more cerebral, not as athletic in the pocket. The true pocket passers. That's kind of been his thing. So listen, man, I think it could 100% happen, and I think that probably be the best outcome.
Could that be
Bears.
Dion's doing right there?
I think it might just fall like that. Bears on the clock. Interesting position right here. They went out, short up their offensive line in free agency. Their defense has always been pretty solid. So I feel like this could be kind of like it's weird to say because the Bears were not good at all towards the end of the last year, but this kind of feels like a luxury pick to where they just have the opportunity to pick who they think is the best player available, even if it isn't at a position of, immediate need. And for this team, I don't really think there is one. I'm gonna mix it up a bit, man. We saw what um what's his name, the tight end over in Detroit, success he's able to have
Laporta?
in Laporta. Yeah, we saw the success he was able to have over there in the Ben Johnson offense. I'm gonna take Colston Loveland here, man. Now I don't think he's the same type of tight end as Sam Laporta, who is, more of an inline blocking tight end. But I think Colston Loveland, in terms of he might be like the best, just like pure receiver in this draft class. And I know that's like kind of crazy to say when you have names like Tyler Warren, Ted McMillan, Matthew Golden, like some of these like higher end receiving prospects. But in terms of like just like getting open, reliable hands, big frame, 6'5". Now he might not be like the, inline, go block somebody, hand in the dirt kind of tight end, but the NFL is kind of evolving for that. You need guys that can win in space. And I think Colston Loveland can be a really, really good kind of just like a big slot if you want to look at like an upgrade over Keenan Allen, just a younger, bigger, better at this point slot option for him. You look at the outside, you got DJ Moore, you got Roma Dunze, who can those guys can win on the outside. You can move them around. You throw Colston Loveland into the slot, run the two tight end situations with him and Komet, just get as much help as you can, make it as easy as possible for Caleb Williams. And I think a big time playmaker, Colston Loveland here at number 10 for the Chicago Bears isn't crazy at all.
Yeah, I think Romeo Dobbs or Romeo Dunze's dad is gonna love that one as well.
Listen, they're winning. You won't be too upset.
San Francisco 49ers, and they're sort of, in a position where just being at the Super Bowl a few years ago and now uncertainty of the future of this franchise, where do you go here? I need help. And honestly, this pick, do you take best available? They do need a little DB help. Um,
They need a
there's,
lot of help.
yeah, there's two I like here in a spot like this. Now I could just be a reacher and say this. I think I'm gonna do it, man. I think, with the way these corners have been taken in these mocks, it's been going one-sided, but I think there is one better DB, even though his draft ranking isn't as high. I think the 49ers go out and get themselves a dog in Will Johnson out of Michigan here. I know you got Barron from Texas. Um, he's been the first corner off the board in a lot of these drafts, but I think they go out big Big Ten football, Michigan playing big games. He's been a lockdown corner for a few years now, and he's been doing it um, consistently over these past few years. So I think they take a chance, Will Johnson here, get themselves a corner.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Big, long, rangy corner definitely can help impact that team that needs help all over the place. Cowboys on the clock here. Um, this is not going to be a hater pick. Cowboys can go a couple different ways. Do you bring in receiver two? Maybe a little, not too early. Um, help up front. I think I'm gonna go offensive line here, and I think I'm gonna keep Kelvin Banks in the state of Texas. It might be a little early, but I just think you lose Zach Martin just retired. The Cowboys have always been one of those offensive lines where they love flexibility. They move guys around a lot on that offensive line. I think Kelvin Banks, you try him at tackle. If he doesn't work there, move him inside at guard. I think he's has fine measurables. Did well enough. You can kind of learn and develop. Cowboys have always kind of had a solid front seven. And I think Kelvin Banks, keep him in the state of Texas, continue to keep Dak Prescott upright because we saw how bad this team was when he went down with injury last season. So it would be nice to kind of, bring in a receiver too. Maybe you look to upgrade this defensive line one of the later rounds. Hopefully you can get that contract extension done with Mike Parsons. But, after losing basically a Hall of Famer up front and Zach Martin, I think offensive line should definitely be, the area this Cowboys team tries to attack. Drafted an offensive lineman last year, but you can never, like I said, you can never have so many offensive linemen, swing tackles, injuries happen, guys go down, and sometimes the guys are just better. So yeah, give me the tackle there.
Yeah, it
Kelvin
leaves
Banks.
me in a nice spot. I see you reaching for a tackle. Dolphins on the clock. I said they should have drafted offensive line last year. Saw what happened. They have an abysmal O line. Continue to. Teron Armstead retiring adds to that problem. Well, they need a lot of help when it comes to interior D line, offensive line. They do need help at corner too. Obviously, you got Jalen and Cater at the nickel corner, but corner two very shaky. Not going to go edge after last year drafting Chop Robinson, who really did come on towards the end of last season. Don't hate it. Man, I just Barron being a 5'11 corner. Do I take a tackle? Do I take a Josh Simmons here? Is it too early? Um, I think they got to go tackle. Last year had him taking, I forget who it was at center. Um, might be a little bit early for Simmons to come off the board, but I think it's dire need of a tackle position and really offensive line needs a lot of help, even guard, center. They're really struggling in the trenches in a team that don't want to get too into it. Mike McDaniel, that quick passing. They have nothing in the trenches, no type of identity, nothing. You need to add physicality, something to this offensive line to protect Tua, who has dealt with a lot of injuries these past couple of years. Got to keep him upright, got to keep him healthy. Saw what happened when he wasn't on the field, so they get offensive line taking Simmons here.
Yeah, I think Simmons is he has tackle one upside in this draft. It's really just that big injury. I believe he tore his patellar tendon or something like that in his knee, but reports were saying he looked really good at his pro day. He was moving well. So if he passes the medicals and he's fully healthy and he's able to get back to that level he was playing before at Ohio State before he went down. I mean, this is a player that can be one of the best tackles in the NFL for the
Sort
next
of
couple of years. So
sort of reminds me of Latu last year. Like I say, he shouldn't be, off everybody's draft board medically. Weren't sure if he wasn't going to play. So Colts took a risk, looked like it paid off in year one. So we'll see
yeah,
about
and
that.
you know, with guys like Jalen Phillips, the Dolphins have had a history of, taking chances on some people with, maybe not the best medical background history, and it's been paying off. So, well, when he's on the field, it's been paying off. But yeah, if he's able to stay healthy, I think it could be a great pick. All right. Indianapolis Colts on the clock. This is an interesting pick. The Colts, they like to go with their big time athletes, high upside guys, height, weight, speed, that kind of thing. Um, I would love to have one of the tight ends fall here for
You took
Anthony
him off the
Richardson. You
board
kind of
earlier.
mentioned, yeah, I know Caleb Williams gets the benefit from that instead. Anything to kind of just help Anthony Richardson, but not much there on the offensive side, in my opinion, at pick 14. I know it might be a little high, but in terms of what the Colts like to pick, height, weight, speed, guys that just absolutely dominate the combine. Safety Nick Worry kind of like fits that in every way possible. 6'3", about 200 pounds, 220. He's like a super big safety. Had I think what he running like the 4.4s, 4.3s, something like that. Crazy time at the combine. Super explosive, big safety, not afraid to come down in the box and tackle. And you look at the Colts, I think they can definitely use some help in the back end. So this just kind of fits the mold for kind of the players that the Colts like to pick. I think he had a really good combine, and then on the field, he was a super, impactful player, able to get his hands on a couple balls, big physical safety, big plays in the box. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nicky Morey here.
Oh man. Um, all right. Um, not the It's not expecting that to be the first safety off the board, but I really don't hate it. Yeah, man. Next up, Atlanta Falcons picking at 15. Go a couple different options here. Michael Penix, the new guy in town at the QB position. What do they go with? Do they address the need for linebackers here? Um, do they go edge? Could reach maybe another receiver to add. McMillan. They say he's a background, first round talent. Um, Not a lot of receivers in this draft either. So if you want a receiver, you're gonna have to get them while they're hot. Not want to be picked yet, but could see them going receiver here. Wouldn't hate it. Could, man. I think at this point, you gotta take. I think you go with Barron here. Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Um, Kind of slid a little, but I wouldn't hate if they took a linebacker, an edge here at this spot. I think the offensive linemen, if you wanted, are kind of off the board right now at this pick. Um, they go with the best available DB there is. Take Barron.
All right, moving on. Arizona Cardinals here on the clock at pick 16. I'm gonna have him taking Walter Nolan here, defensive lineman from Ole Miss. Versatile rusher, can play on the inside, can line up a little bit on the edge. Jonathan Gannon, learning from what the Eagles did, building that front line, building the trenches through, versatile players, guys, SEC caliber players, really talented guys. Walter Nolan, another guy who had a, really good athletic display this offseason. I think he fits what the Cardinals want to do. Bring in Josh Sweat. Now you need some help on the interior. I think Walter Nolan's a guy that can kind of create some havoc from the interior of the pocket, and we all know how important those interior pass rushers are nowadays. So I'm gonna go with Walter Nolan here for the Cardinals. I like that pick.
Yeah, Bengals next up on the clock. I like that as well. Um, I think there's two players they could go here. Um, the Trey Hendrickson drama going on. They want to know how they can improve this defense is getting those young guys. I think we've talked about it in episodes past. When you pay that offensive side of the ball, you just got to hope that you hit on your draft picks here. Um, and I think they could go two players, either Mike Green or Jahad Campbell here. I think they go with the huge edge rusher, Mike Green. Um, Very good run defender. He could get after the quarterback. Played at Marshall, so maybe a little bit of a project, but a freak athlete off the edge, quick first move. And I think, whether or not Trey Hendrickson's the Cincinnati Bengal are playing next season, they get an edge rusher to sort of help out that defense to maybe get the ball out quicker and give those DBs a chance that, they were giving up 40 points last year. So,
All right, moving on. Seattle Seahawks. This is I don't this is kind of a tough one with the way the board's falling. Obviously, quarterback, they just signed Sam Darnold. Hmm. Could you maybe see a possible receiver? You know what? Actually, that might be where I go here. They need interior offensive line. They're never going to draft interior offensive line early. It's just not a position like an important position, not a premium position. You know what? I like Ted McMillan here at 18. I think you just traded away DK Metcalf, creates a void there at the receiver room. You have JSN, a very reliable, productive slot receiver, but with Sam Darnold, you saw how good he was when he had talent at the receiving room around him in Minnesota. You look at guys like Addison, Justin Jefferson, some of those guys, they can win on the outside. I think McMillan brings in something that Sam Darnold's never had, just a huge outside target, true X receiver, can win outside, one-on-one, jump ball, athletic kind of guy. You pair him with JSN in the slot, I think he can create a decent little passing game there. So give Sam Darnold some help, bringing another receiver one over there in Seattle, or maybe a receiver 1B behind JSN. And I like the way that receiving group can kind of work out.
Yeah, next up, I mean, Tampa Bay Bucks. You could go a couple spots here. Um, Seen a couple drafts take Starks here at this spot. I don't think they go safety. They really need front seven work as well as the back end too when it comes to the corner room. Um, but I think you got to go edge here if you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, just which one do you want? I think the Bucks. Man, this is tough. Um, I'm gonna have the Bucks taking James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee here. Um, Might be a little bit early for Pierce, but they need help at the edge. They get some, give that offense a little bit of help on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think they go safety, obviously. Um, Antoine at the free safety position, but
All right, moving on. Denver Broncos. This is interesting. It's I know exactly what position I want to take. I think it just comes down to, two players here for me.
is it an undervalued position here we're talking about? Are we thinking the
It
same?
is. It is. Um,
Yeah, I like it.
I think I'm gonna just go Amari and Hampton here. Now I know they did have a former North Carolina running back on their roster that, didn't pan out maybe the way some of them wanted to, with Javonte Williams. But Marion Hampton, another super, super explosive guy, hard to tackle. When he gets in the open field, he just makes guys miss. In that Sean Payne offense, he wants a big running back. He wants to run that game. You saw what he was able to do with guys like Alvin Kamara, what he was able to do, down there in New Orleans with guys like Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles, get them going in the passing game and in the run game. So I think Amari Hampton brings in another explosive element to this Denver Broncos offense that, seemed to be ahead of schedule. You got Bo Nix, give him a trusted running mate next to him, and Amari Hampton take some of the pressure off. It was between him and Travion Henderson for me, but I think Amari Hampton has a little bit more of the size, a little better fit, and I think he'll definitely be able to help this Denver Broncos team and help Bo Nix progress.
Well, that leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. Now, Steelers, it's going to be a quarterback here, I think, at 21. Like you said, the possibility of teams trading up in that back end of the first round, early second, trying to get their quarterback. I think the Steelers send at 21. We've seen them. We know this defense is good enough to win you 9 games, 10 games a year. Question is, who's going to play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? You got DK, you got George Pickens. Um, do you take a scrambling quarterback in Jalen Milroe? hot names Jackson Dart of late. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers go ahead, 21st overall, and a possible reach for Jackson Dart here, kind of like they did with their previous quarterback, Kenny Pickett. But hey,
All right, moving on. Chargers. This is another position where I know exactly the position I want to take, but the way this board is falling, I think it's between two really good players. I think I'm gonna go Jahad Campbell here, linebacker from Alabama. Was recruited as an edge rusher, so he has some of the pass rushing background, but in terms of he was just too good talent, had to get him on the field down at Alabama. He played off the ball as well. So a versatile player and super dime packages and obvious pass rush situations. Maybe you can have him coming off the edge or blitzing off the edge, but I think this is a really good linebacker. He can really play good in space, sideline to sideline, really physical coming downhill. And you look at this Chargers team, they lose Joey Bosa. I mean, they have some solid pieces on defense, but outside of Derwin James, they just kind of lack that physicality. Khalil Mack, he's on the in the twilight of his career. You need someone that can be a tone setter for this defense. We know how Harbaugh likes to play rowdy, downhill, tough football. I think Jahad Campbell fits that perfectly, and I think this would be an excellent pick if he does make it to 22 in real life.
yeah, and Green Bay Packers, 23rd overall. Really two positions you nail it down to. Um, I think they actually go cornerback here, man. I think they take Trey Amos. Um, Here once again, uncertainty in that DB room. They had Jair, a couple guys stepping up here and there, but outside of corner one is real shaky for the Green Bay Packers. And then Jair now, um, with what's going on with him, Green Bay's kind of starting fresh, man. You got to get those corners right. I think edge is important for him, but I don't think it's as dire need as it is for corner right now for Green Bay. So they take Amos off the board. They get their first round corner.
All right, their division rival, Minnesota Vikings, on the clock. I'm gonna go with Gray Zabel here, tackle out of North Dakota State. Now, you know, people are gonna say lesser competition, but it just always seems like every single year North Dakota State just has like a really good player come from their program. And I like Gray Zabel. Once again, offers that versatility on the offensive line, and we saw how bad they were down the stretch. Sam Darnold getting sacked a million times in the last two games that matter the most against the Rams and then against the Detroit Lions in the week prior. So JJ McCarthy is going to be your starting quarterback. If he's going to be stepping out there on the field for you, you want to make sure he's protected, even coming off of that season where he wasn't playing, wasn't healthy at all. You want to emphasize protection for the quarterback. I think Gray Zabel would be a nice pick here to kind of just once again shore up that offensive line. That when they're really healthy, their tackles are really good. They got a decent offensive line, but we saw injuries catch up to them. Not good play down at the end of the season. Gray Zabel, I think, can come in and help make that group a lot better for your young quarterback.
Yeah, I really like that pick there. Houston Texans on the board. Diggs' departure, Nico Collins, obviously a true number one. Um, Uncertainty of Tank Dell and his injuries, what's been going on. Um, can he bounce back once again is the real question. Do they take a receiver, help out Stroud a little bit? Offensive line also could take a tackle here. Connerly is still on the board out of Oregon. Um, a lot of questions out receiver. Do you see Mbuka go in the first round? Do you not? Do the Texans reach? Do they go in the trenches? Been leaning towards the trenches today. Um, but not a lot of receiver talent at all in this draft. Mecca Ibuka at Ohio State University. I think the Texans reach a little bit and get a receiver.
I don't hate that pick at all. I mean, I don't even think it's really a reach. You pair him back up with his former college quarterback and CJ Stroud.
Mhm.
You touched on it. You lose Diggs. You're not too sure how healthy Tank Dell is going to be getting back. So I think that is a really big need. If it's not receiver, it's going to be offensive line. But I love Emeka Buka here. I think he instantly comes in and can be one of the better slot corners in the league. He's just going to produce early on, especially with a guy like CJ Stroud, who he has chemistry with. Moving on, LA Rams on the clock. Another team where it's just like, which way do you want to go, you know? Their defensive line and pass rush is already so good, but you know, you can never have enough of those guys. Offensive line is okay. Do you look to add some help in the secondary? And you know what? I'm going to add Malachi Starks. I think at this point, you just go best player available. Really, really smart safety, just a really good football player. Now, I know could be a little disappointing, a little underwhelming at the combine. Maybe they didn't put up some of the explosive, crazy numbers like some other players or like Nicky Morey who went before him. But I just think in terms of having a really, really good, solid football player there on your back end, your front seven and pass rush is already so good. Now you have a ball hawk, you know, kind of field general safety to sit back there when you get those pressures, when you get those errant throws, those throws that are off because of your defensive line creating pressures, you got somebody that you can rely on back there to make those plays, make sure tackles, and turn the ball over. So I like adding Malachi Starks to this team on defense.
Yeah. Think it was only time before we took him off the board. Um, just kind of hoping he fell a little bit, but here we are. Baltimore Ravens on the clock. Um, Unable to get over that hump so far of getting, past Patrick Mahomes and company in that AFC conference. Think they go defense here. The question is, where do you go? Who's the best available right now? Um, and you could go a couple guys talking about scheme. I think I'm gonna go Shamar Stewart here at A&M. Um, they get a big edge, add some pass rush. Defense, we know those DBs, they still got, back end getting up there in age. Kyle Hamilton, obviously one of the better safeties in the league outside of when he plays the Browns. Um, so they get some defensive help, add some size on the edge. Good run defender as well.
Yeah, if Shamar Stewart can hit his ceiling and he pans out, you know, to what he really can be, just an absolute just home run for the Baltimore Ravens. On the clock, Detroit Lions. I think it worked out pretty well for them the last time they took a defensive lineman from Michigan in the first round. So I'm going to do it again for him here with Kenneth Grant. Uh, a completely different player from Hutchinson, but just a really big interior nose tackle, going to stop the run. Then as he develops, has some pass rushes just to him. You pair him up to just eat a bunch of blocks and try to do as much as you can to make life easier for Hutchinson on the edge, or Hutch gets the double. You just have a giant human being in the middle to eat up, you know, one on ones. Has a good chance to win. So yeah, give me Kenneth Grant here for the Detroit Lions, keeping him in state.
I really like that pick a lot. Washington Commanders, once again, they need help at a few different places. Um, Defensive side of the ball, obviously, huge thing, but Jane Daniels coming off one of the best rookie performances we've seen in a very long time. Austin Eckler, he's old. That running back room, there's a lot of guys, no really guy per se to take over that workload in Washington. Got running back by committee over there, so I think they go ahead and draft their running back here, Cam Scatterborough, um, late in the first round.
You got Scatterbo going in the first round. Okay.
A little bit
Okay.
of a reach, yeah. I personally don't like it, but once again, I think I'm doing what these teams might
hmm
be doing in the draft, and you want to help out that rookie quarterback.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of Scatterbo buzz. I've seen a lot of Travion Henderson from Ohio State just because of his explosiveness and pass catching. But I mean, you never know with these teams. You get close to the draft, you never know who they have on their draft board, if they have someone higher or lower. So, I mean, you never know.
Yeah,
All
they got a
right.
pass catching back in Eckler. Obviously, age um, is a factor, but he had a solid
Yeah.
season last year for the Commanders.
All right. For the Buffalo Bills here, I mean, they literally, the one thing the Bills should be worried about right now in
Josh
their
Allen help.
organization. No, well, yeah, Josh Allen helped, but help Josh Allen do what? Beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And what did we just see the Eagles do in the Super Bowl? How they do it? They got after him. They got pressure. They were deep on the defensive line. And I think if you're the Bills, you want to kind of emulate that process. I think they bring in Jalen Walker, linebacker. You know, upside has the ceiling to be a Micah Parsons-esque edge rusher. That's kind of the comp he was been getting coming out. Undersized pass rusher, a little lighter, but explosive, has the juice, was banged up a little bit, but you saw in the biggest game of the year against Texas and former and another first round pick, Kelvin Banks, pretty much just had his day. Pretty much, was the main reason Georgia won that game on their own. So when he's fully healthy, and he's juiced up coming off the edge. I know they just brought in Joey Bosa, and I know they just re-signed Greg Rousseau to a big contract, but you have someone like Jalen Walker, you able to rotate him in, also can play a little bit off the ball as well. But a guy like this with his traits, you want him getting after the quarterback, and you can never, ever, ever, ever have enough good pass rushers. So I love actually this Jalen Walker fit. If Jalen Walker falls to the Buffalo Bills. That might be one of my favorite picks of the draft for our life.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Leaves me with the Kansas City Chiefs. Speaking of, um, and man, I bet they would love to add some offensive line help after what you just talked about. What went down in that Super Bowl, and I believe that they do it here. I'm gonna take Josh Connerly out of Oregon. Here at this pick, they add tackle help. Could go the big fellow from Ohio State too. I think it's a little bit um, depending on what you want, but I think the Eagles showed anything. They needed help at the offensive line. They got weaker this offseason, so I think they get some help here late in the first round.
All right, in the Philadelphia Eagles wrapping it up, I really think they would want to go offensive line here. Just, with losing Mekhi Becton, and then Lane Johnson, he's getting up there in age. You don't really know how long he's going to continue to play, but I'm not too sure if there's a prospect here that I would want to take in the first round. You mentioned Donovan Jackson, Tyler Booker, another interior offensive line. Possibly could go there, but if there's no real talent you really like, I think, Howie just does what Howie does. And I think he ends up going defensive line. And at this pick, I'm gonna have him go interior defensive lineman. Derek Harmon has a really high ceiling. I think, you put him in that Eagle scheme on that defensive line, get him rotating, have him playing next to Jalen Carter. A really productive player this year for Oregon. I think he has the upside. Rotate him in with Jordan Davis. I think he can be a really good pass rusher to kind of, replace that Milton Williams role.
Yeah, man. Kind of shocked. D line there.
Oh, really? Are you shocked the Eagles went D-line in the first round?
Man, they've done. Yeah, I'm sure they did it. Well, PFF
Now, and
wouldn't load my draft grade. I don't know if it popped up for you.
my first round mock, no, I don't see a grade. I just see my mock. But I will say on a side note for the Eagles, my favorite like dream pick that will never happen in this world, but like there's like a 5% chance maybe it could happen is I would love them to take a Emeka Egbuka and have him in the slot. Pair him with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Even though, but I mean, it's really no point. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw to his third wide receiver, and Howie Roseman doesn't take slot receivers really in the first round. I mean, we saw him take Devontae Smith, but I think that's a exception. Heisman winning, elite talent, and then we're not going to talk about Jalen Rager, but I think Emeka Buka will fit really good in this offense, but I just don't think they'll end up taking him. I think Howie continues to build the trenches.
Well, they certainly be adding to some depth on the Eagles' defensive line, if anything. Just gonna wrap up our 2025 first round mock draft. So Thursday, um, what is it, April 24th?
I
NFL draft
believe it's
kicks off.
the 24th. Yeah.
So first round, obviously, day two, day three, followed it up. We'll see how many quarterbacks go in the first round. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
I
Obviously,
think,
the over under 1.5.
oh, I'm smashed over.
Okay, two and a
I
half.
think at least three.
Oh, so you're taking over two and a
Guaranteed
half.
three, Jalen Milroe, dark horse. I think he goes in the first round. I think
Who's the third quarterback? So you got oh well
Dart,
Dart. Yeah, I'm tripping.
Sanders, Ward, and I
Hmm.
think a team takes a flyer on Jalen Milroe at the end of the first. Quarterbacks just always go early, bro. They just do.
I mean, yeah, it's the most important position on the field, so see the need for the reach. NBA play-in kicks off tomorrow night. Two games on, 7-8 seeds. Hawks Magic in the East. Grizzlies Warriors in the West. Two different sides, the East and West, in my opinion. Um, two teams, well, the Magic are 500, Hawks under 500. And then on the other side, two teams, 14 games over 500 in the West. So, um, I mean, I can make it short and sweet. Go ahead, rock with the Magic, man. Florida team. The Hawks always seem to be in this place. You might get the Trey Young go crazy night. Um, but I'm just rocking with the Magic. I flip a coin, bro, and it's probably going to be the team that wins.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this could be a good matchup, but at the end of the day, give me Paulo, give me Franz, that Magic defense, and when it comes down to having a guy that can just go get a bucket, I trust Paulo more than I trust Trey Young.
Wow. In the West, this is a good matchup, man, if you ask me. Memphis, obviously, ups and downs, a lot of questionable things. The Warriors, on the other hand, started the season off, kind of red hot, slowed down. Obviously, the Jimmy acquisition, been a different team since then. Um, I just don't see how you go against a guy like Steph Curry here in these playoffs. I'd love to see Ja throw a couple nades into the crowd and do his antics in the postseason. Be fun, explosive. No pun intended, I guess. But I think this Warriors team, I think they'll be all right. I think they get this win here, and Steph Curry continues to make the playoffs.
I will also pick the Warriors here. And fun fact, having Steph Curry win his first ever play-in game, he's never won a game in the playoff in his entire career. I think he's like 0 and 3 or something like that. But
Mm.
regardless, I mean, you mentioned it. Veteran leadership. These guys are battle tested. Even the acquisition of Jimmy Butler. Jimmy has very good playoff experience. And this Grizzly team, you mentioned it kind of all over the place. Ja has been playing really good basketball as of late, but I just think you need a little bit more than a streaky Ja Morant to beat this, seasoned Warriors team who's playing some really good basketball with Jimmy Butler. Watching that Clippers game the other day, he just adds another level of intensity that they don't really need to rely on Stephen Curry for the entire 4 quarters. Jimmy Butler can carry some of the low, and then Curry can come in like he did the other night and drop like 15 points in 1 quarter. So I think this Warriors team can be frisky. I like them, and I think they handle business against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, Wednesday night hoops, 9-10 game. Heat Bulls. I really don't know what to say about the Heat. Apparently, Hassan Whiteside and Goran Dragic led the Heat to a better record than Tyler and Bam did this year. And you also let me know that Tyler Hero played the most games he's ever played in a regular season this year. So, bit of a head scratcher. I'm just gonna take the Heat just because I'm a fan. But Josh Giddey, he's been hooping of late. This Bulls team is a little bit, they got a little bit of everything. Vooch, Colby White, they got, I don't know, just give me the Heat.
Yeah, you mentioned Tyler Hero played the most games he's ever played in the regular season, so some might say he's due to miss some games here. And could this be the game he gets banged up? Knock on wood, not wishing injury on anyone. But I like the Heat here as well. One game series means a lot. You look at the coaching, Spo, he knows what it means to win these games. You got some guys on this roster that over the past couple years had some big moments, have had some runs in the playoff. You mentioned Bam. Hero, he's been banged up, but he's played in some big playoff games. Duncan Robinson, he's played in some of the big moments. And don't sleep on Andrew Wiggins, man. NBA champion Andrew Wiggins. He brings over some toughness as well. So I like this Heat team, but yeah, you got to give a shout out to the Bulls, man. Giddy and Kobe White have both really, really been hooping, but I think some team basketball from the Miami Heat, and I believe I could be mistaken. Jovic might be back. Hame with a really big game at the end of the season. So I think this Heat team can do just enough to pull out a close one against the Bulls.
Bolster Jr. was out there hooping for sure. Last game of the play-in, Mavs Kings. This one kind of the opposite of the first West play-in. The Mavs shipping off Luca this offseason or this season. I just I don't see morally, like not morally, morale wise, playing for a play-in after being in the NBA Finals a year ago, kind of similar to the Heat. So maybe I should have picked against the Heat because I'm going with the Sacramento Kings. Um, I think this Mavs team, they've been through so much. There was a point in the season, I think they had like 7 players on their roster, 8 players that were active, and they couldn't add anybody else. They couldn't do any moves. Um, I think it's just best for him to look over to the off season and just lose this game and hit the lottery.
Yeah, I don't think this Mavs situation is anywhere remotely near what happened to the Heat this season. Jimmy wanted out. That was bad on both sides. This Luka trade will be talked for years and years and years to come as one of, if not the worst move, trade, most head scratching transactions to ever happen in I'd say all of sports. But I'm right there with you, man. I'm gonna pick the Sacramento Kings here. Outside of Anthony Davis, what do the Mavs really have to offer you? Like, are you really trusting in Najee Marshall to put the team on his back here? Like, that's just something that you're not gonna see. They have a bunch of bigs that'll be good against Sabonis, but when you look at their wings, you look at their guards. I think Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan will pretty much to be able to have their way. And Sabonis is pretty much dominated Anthony Davis whenever they played throughout their careers. So
Yeah.
I'd expect a big game from him as well. Mavericks just don't have enough, man. The Kyrie injuries super tough. I just don't think they have enough pieces at this point. So yeah, give me the Sacramento Kings as well.
Yeah, I forgot the Sabonis domination of AD. I think AD finally won.
I think
Um,
this year he won his
yeah.
first game against the bonus in his career
hmm I think so
for
too.
with the
So
Lakers. Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to get into the playoffs or should we wait?
I think we'll wait. We'll wait till these playing games are finished, and then we can always come back and jump on real quick, go over the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Go to go. So 129. You get any last comments, takes, things you need to get off your chest?
Nah, man, just NBA playoff basketball coming around. One of the best times of the year, man. It's always fun watching these playoff games and these teams. And I think, I just said we won't get into it, so we won't. But some good matchups in the first round here. Some exciting games to be looking forward to. We'll leave it at that.
No, we definitely do.
But actually, you know what? I do have one thing to say in terms of the games. It's not going to be too much, but I will say saw a report, man. Anthony Edwards saying he's looking to retire that old ass nigga in terms of talking about LeBron James. So we'll see, man. We'll see, man.
I did not see that one. Oh
We'll
my
see.
God. That's the most ant thing ever. Oh, gotta love him. Gotta love him.
On that
I
note,
saw that little clip of him in that movie. He was just acting as himself. I don't
oh,
know if
in the basketball one with Adam Sandler, I forgot
yeah.
which one. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot the name of it, but I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. They said and be yourself out there and it looked like him. Well, it was him, but um go, episode 129, NBA hoops, NFL mock. We'll be back with the NBA postseason, and then obviously we'll probably talk about that NFL draft first round, some shockers, what went down, quarterbacks for sure. We're gonna discuss. So until next episode, we'll be back, man. Peace.